birth of a star in the vast cold expanse of space. Billions of years ago, a story began to unfold. It was a story of transformation, of energy, and of light. It was the birth of a star, our sun. In the beginning, there was only a dense cloud of gas and dust, a nebula, floating aimlessly in the cosmos. This nebula was a chaotic mix of elements, a cosmic soup waiting for the right conditions to trigger a change. Slowly, the nebula began to collapse under its own gravity. As it contracted, it spun faster and faster, flattening into a spinning disk with a hot, dense center. This was the protostar, the infant sun, taking shape amidst the cosmic dust. As the protostar continued to contract, the pressure and temperature at its core rose dramatically. The core became so hot and dense that protons began to collide with such force that they fused together, creating helium in a process known as nuclear fusion. This was the spark that ignited the sun. Nuclear fusion released an immense amount of energy, causing the core of the sun to shine brightly. This energy, in the form of light and heat, pushed outward against the force of gravity, creating a delicate balance that allowed the sun to maintain its size and shape. The energy produced by nuclear fusion traveled from the core to the surface of the sun, a journey that could take hundreds of thousands of years. Once it reached the surface, the energy was emitted as sunlight, bathing the solar system in its warm, life-giving glow. And so, from a dense cloud of gas and dust, our sun was born. Its light has been shining for over 4.6 billion years, a testament to the power and longevity of the stars. It is a beacon in our sky, a constant source of warmth and light, and the centerpiece of our solar system. This is the story of the birth of a star, a tale of transformation and energy, of chaos and order. It is a reminder of our place in the cosmos, under the watchful glow of our sun. It is a story that continues to unfold, as our sun continues to shine, fueled by the incredible power of nuclear fusion. And it is a story that will continue for billions of years to come, as our sun lives out its stellar life cycle, a testament to the enduring power of the stars. The prime of life. In the grand theater of the cosmos, there exists a star, a beacon of light and life, the sun. It is in its prime, a stable main sequence star, the heart of our solar system, the celestial body that governs the rhythm of life on Earth. The sun, in its prime, is a spectacle of cosmic stability. It has been burning for about 4.6 billion years, halfway through its main sequence stage. During this phase, the sun maintains a delicate balance between the inward pull of gravity and the outward push of pressure from its nuclear reactions. The sun's radiance, the warmth and light it provides, is the lifeblood for life on Earth. It fuels photosynthesis, the process that green plants use to convert sunlight into chemical energy. This energy flows through the food chain, supporting a diverse array of life forms. The sun's light also drives Earth's climate and weather, shaping the environment in which we live. But what powers this magnificent star? The answer lies in the heart of the sun, where the pressure and temperature are so immense that hydrogen atoms come together to form helium in a process known as hydrogen fusion. This process releases an enormous amount of energy in the form of light and heat. Hydrogen fusion is the engine that powers the sun's brilliance. Every second, about 600 million tons of hydrogen are converted into helium in the sun's core. This process releases energy equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs, energy that eventually makes its way to the surface and radiates into space as sunlight. The sun, in its prime, is more than just a celestial body. It is a symbol of life, a testament to the power of nature, and a reminder of our place in the universe. As we bask in its warmth and marvel at its light, we are witnessing the prime of life, powered by the engine of hydrogen fusion. This is the story of our sun, the story of life itself, signs of aging. As the cosmic clock ticks, the sun, our beacon of life, enters its middle age. This phase, much like middle age in humans, is marked by subtle changes that hint at the inevitable passage of time. The sun, once a vibrant main sequence star, now begins to show signs of aging. Its core, where the magic of hydrogen fusion takes place, is gradually depleting its hydrogen fuel. This process is slow, almost imperceptible, taking place over millions of years. Hydrogen fusion, the process that has powered the sun's brilliance for billions of years, relies on a steady supply of hydrogen. But nothing lasts forever. As the sun burns through its hydrogen fuel, the rate of fusion decreases. This causes the core to contract under its own gravity, increasing the pressure and temperature. This increase in temperature and pressure at the core has a domino effect. You might be wondering, what is a domino effect? The domino effect refers to a chain reaction that occurs when a small change causes a similar change nearby, which then causes another similar change, and so on in linear sequence. The domino effect is like a line of dominoes falling down. When you knock over the first domino, it hits the next, which hits the next, and so on. This represents how a small change can make similar changes happen one after the other. So the outer layers of the sun expand, causing the sun to grow in size. This is the beginning of the sun's transition into a red giant, a phase that will come much later in its life. The sun's middle age is a period of slow change. It's a time of transition, a shift from the vibrant youth to the wisdom of old age. It's a reminder of the finite nature of life, even for a star as mighty as the sun. As we look up at the sky, basking in the sun's warmth, we are witnessing a celestial drama unfold. The sun, in its prime, now shows signs of aging. But even as it ages, it continues to shine, a testament to the enduring power of nature, the red giant phase. In the grand cosmic ballet, stars are the prima donnas, the leading performers who command our attention. Among them, our sun, a beacon of warmth and life, has been performing its role as a main sequence star for about 4.6 billion years. But as with all things in the universe, change is inevitable. The sun, having spent its prime fusing hydrogen into helium, is now poised for a dramatic transformation. It is entering the next phase of its stellar evolution, the red giant phase. The red giant phase is a period of profound change and expansion. It's a time when the sun will swell to such an extent that it will engulf the inner planets, including Mercury and Venus. This transformation won't happen overnight. It will take millions of years, a blink of an eye in cosmic terms, but an eternity for us on it. As the sun exhausts its hydrogen fuel, the core contracts under its own gravity. This contraction increases the pressure and temperature at the core, triggering the fusion of helium into carbon and oxygen. This new phase of fusion generates even more energy, causing the outer layers of the sun to expand. The sun's transformation into a red giant is a spectacle of cosmic proportions. Imagine, if you will, the sun growing in size, its surface temperature dropping, and its color changing from the familiar yellow-white to a deep, ominous red. This bloated, reddened sun will dominate the sky, its increased luminosity outshining every other star. The inner planets, Mercury and Venus, will be the first to face the sun's wrath. Engulfed by the sun's outer layers, they will be subjected to intense heat and radiation. Their surfaces will melt, their atmospheres will evaporate, and they will become part of the sun itself. Life on Earth, too, will be dramatically affected. As the sun expands, the Earth will be bathed in intense heat and radiation. The oceans will boil away, the atmosphere will be stripped off, and the surface will be scorched to a barren wasteland. Life, as we know it, will cease to exist. But even in its death throes, the sun will create something beautiful. The outer layers of the sun, thrown off into space, will create a nebula, a glowing shell of gas and dust. This nebula, illuminated by the dying sun, will be a testament to the sun's past glory. The red giant phase is a reminder of the transient nature of existence. Stars, like people, are born, they live, and they die. But even in death, they leave behind a legacy, a contribution to the cosmic cycle of birth and rebirth. How long will it take for the sun to become a red giant? Our sun is currently in its main sequence phase, where it is burning hydrogen into helium. This phase lasts for about 10 billion years. Given that our solar system is just over 4.5 billion years old, the sun is slightly more than halfway through its stable lifetime. It is estimated that in about 5 billion years, our sun will cease hydrogen fusion and enter its red giant phase. This transition from the main sequence to red giant is actually quite gradual, even by astronomical standards. Once the sun uses most of the hydrogen in its core, it will enter what is known as the subgiant phase. The sun's core will contract, which in turn will increase its temperature, igniting some more hydrogen fusion in a thin shell around the core. The layers outside the solar core will expand, and as a result, cool down. This expansion is gradual and takes about 1 billion years. From there, the sun will officially enter its red giant phase. The sun's radius will keep growing, and its temperature will decrease slightly. The energy emitted by the sun, however, will increase enormously. This phase will last for about 500 million years. So in total, it will take approximately 5 billion years for the sun to become a red giant, with the transition taking about 1.5 billion years. What happens to the sun after it becomes a red giant? After the sun has exhausted its hydrogen fuel and expanded into a red giant, it will undergo a series of dramatic changes. The core of the sun, now full of helium, will contract under its own gravity, increasing the pressure and temperature. This will trigger the fusion of helium into carbon and oxygen, releasing even more energy. This new phase of fusion causes the outer layers of the sun to expand even further. The sun will lose about half of its mass during this phase. As it loses mass, the radii of the orbits of the remaining planets from Jupiter outward will increase. However, the inner planets, including Mercury and Venus, will likely be engulfed by the sun's outer layers. The intense heat and radiation from the sun will cause their surfaces to melt and their atmospheres to evaporate. The Earth, too, will face dramatic changes. The increased heat and radiation from the sun will cause the oceans to boil away and the atmosphere to be stripped off. Life, as we know it, will cease to exist. Once the red giant phase is complete, the sun will throw off its outer layers in intense episodic bursts, creating a nebula. The remaining core of the sun, now a white dwarf, will be about 67% of its current mass. This is the future that awaits our sun. It's a reminder of the transient nature of existence and the grandeur of the universe. Even in its death throes, the sun will create something beautiful, a testament to the enduring power of nature. How will the red giant phase last? The red giant phase of the sun is a period of significant transformation that will last for about 500 million years. This phase begins when the sun's core gets hot enough, about 100 million kelvins, to support the fusion of helium into carbon. During this phase, the sun's radius will continue to grow, and its temperature will decrease slightly. However, the energy emitted by the sun will increase enormously. The end of the red giant phase is marked by the exhaustion of helium in the sun's core. Once the helium fuel runs out, the core will shrink again, and the sun will enter its final stage of nuclear fusion life. This phase is characterized by the fusion of heavier elements, leading to the creation of a white dwarf. Thus, the red giant phase is a critical transition period in the sun's life, leading to its eventual transformation into a white dwarf. Will any planets survive after the red giant phase? The fate of the planets in our solar system after the sun's red giant phase is a topic of ongoing scientific study. Mercury and Venus will likely be engulfed by the sun during its red giant phase. Earth's fate is less certain, depending on precise details of the sun's evolution and mass loss. Some studies suggest that Earth could survive the sun's red giant phase, but it would be a vastly different world, subjected to intense heat and radiation. The outer planets, from Jupiter outward through the Kuiper belt, are expected to remain bound to the sun, which will have become a white dwarf. They will orbit it for the billions of years it will take for the sun's light to wane and ultimately fail complete. The fate of Mars is also uncertain, but in all but the direst scenarios, it is expected to survive the sun's final stages of evolution. So, while the inner planets face a perilous future, the outer planets may continue to orbit the sun long after it has transitioned from a red giant to a white dwarf. Let me explain two terms: nebula and the white dwarf. A nebula, from the Latin word meaning cloud, is a majestic sight to behold. It is a vast, sprawling cloud of gas and dust suspended in the infinite expanse of space. Nebulae are often the birthplaces of stars, their dense regions collapsing under gravity to ignite and form new stellar bodies. They are also the final resting places of stars, the remnants of their explosive death scattered across space. Some nebulae come from the gas and dust thrown out by the explosion of a dying star, such as a supernova. Other nebulae are regions where new stars are beginning to form. These celestial nurseries, with their vibrant hues and intricate structures, are a testament to the cyclical nature of the universe, a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. On the other end of the stellar life cycle, we find the white dwarf. A white dwarf is what stars like the sun become after they have exhausted their nuclear fuel, near the end of its nuclear burning stage. This type of star expels most of its outer material, creating a planetary nebula. Only the hot core of the star remains. This core, now a white dwarf, is incredibly dense, with a mass comparable to the Sun's, but a volume similar to Earth's. A white dwarf is very dense. Its mass is comparable to the Sun's, while its volume is comparable to Earth's. A white dwarf's faint luminosity comes from the emission of residual thermal energy. No fusion takes place in a white dwarf. In the grand cosmic drama, every star, no matter how bright or powerful, must face its final act. For our Sun, this act is a transformation into a white dwarf, a celestial spectacle that is as poetic as it is awe-inspiring. The Sun, having exhausted its hydrogen and helium fuel, will shed its outer layers, creating a planetary nebula. This nebula, a shell of gas and dust, will be illuminated by the dying Sun, creating a spectacle of cosmic proportions. The Sun, once a beacon of warmth and life, will now become a beacon of beauty, its death throes creating a masterpiece of cosmic art. As the Sun sheds its outer layers, its core will contract under its own gravity. This contraction will increase the pressure and temperature at the core, triggering the fusion of heavier elements. However, this new phase of fusion will be short-lived. Without a steady supply of fuel, the fusion reactions will cease, and the Sun's core will cool and contract, forming a white dwarf. The white dwarf, the remnant of the Sun's core, will be about the size of Earth, but with a mass comparable to the Sun. It will be incredibly dense, with a teaspoon of its material weighing as much as an elephant. The white dwarf will glow with a faint white light, the last vestiges of its former glory. The planetary nebula, illuminated by the white dwarf, will be a sight to behold. It will glow with a multitude of colors, the result of the various elements present in the nebula being excited by the white dwarf's intense ultraviolet radiation. Over time, the nebula will expand and fade, its material dispersing into the cosmos. The Sun's transformation into a white dwarf and the creation of a planetary nebula is a reminder of the transient nature of existence. Stars, like people, are born, they live, and they die. But even in death, they leave behind a legacy, a contribution to the cosmic cycle of birth and rebirth. This is the story of our Sun, a story of transformation and change, of endings and new beginnings. It's a story that reminds us of our place in the cosmos, of the fleeting nature of existence, and of the beauty of the universe we inhabit. As we look up at the sky, witnessing the Sun's transformation, we are reminded of the grandeur of the universe, the power of nature, and the inevitability of change. This is the story of the final act, a story of cosmic proportions, a story of life, death, and rebirth. As we stand on Earth, looking up at the sky, the Sun continues to shine brightly, a constant presence in our lives. It rises each morning, casting its warm, golden light over the world, and sets each evening, painting the sky with hues of orange and red. It is hard to imagine a time when the Sun, our source of light and life, will cease to be. Yet, the story of the Sun's life, from its birth in a nebula to its eventual death as a white dwarf, is a reminder of the transient nature of existence. Everything in the universe, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, is subject to the laws of nature and the passage of time. The Sun, in its prime, is a stable main sequence star, fusing hydrogen into helium in its core. This process, which powers the Sun's brilliance, will continue for about another 5 billion years. After that, the Sun will enter its red giant phase, expanding in size and engulfing the inner planets. It will then shed its outer layers, creating a planetary nebula, and leave behind a white dwarf. This transformation, though dramatic, is a natural part of the Sun's life cycle. It is a testament to the power of nature and the grandeur of the universe. Even in its death throes, the Sun will create something beautiful, a nebula, a glowing shell of gas and dust, illuminated by the dying Sun. But for now, the Sun continues to shine brightly in the sky. It continues to provide warmth and light, supporting life on Earth. As we go about our daily lives, let us take a moment to appreciate the Sun, to bask in its warmth, to marvel at its light. Let us remember that we are part of a grand cosmic drama, a story of birth, life, and death, a story that is as old as the universe itself. This is the story of our Sun, a story of transformation and change, a story of endings and new beginnings. It's a story that reminds us of our place in the cosmos, of the fleeting nature of existence, and of the beauty of the universe we inhabit. As we look up at the sky, witnessing the sun's transformation, we are reminded of the grandeur of the universe, the power of nature, and the inevitability of change. This is the story of the final act, a story of cosmic proportions, a story of life, death, and rebirth. And for now, the sun continues its daily dance across the sky, a symbol of constancy and life in an ever-changing universe. While the sun's demise is still billions of years away, its story reminds us of the impermanence of all things in the universe. Let's cherish each sunrise and sunset, knowing that our sun will one day bid us farewell in a spectacular cosmic finale.